Our next presenter is from Iowa State University. His name is Doug Jacobson. He is going to take the computer science discussion in a little different, down a little different path. It was nice to hear from Dan and the different things that he's kind of doing from moving from computer teacher to computer science teacher. And I think we saw that progression, and it's ongoing. And I think that's a great way to see what's out there. But when we think about computer science, how do we define computer science? And I think that's a good question to ask ourselves, because it's more than just coding and programming. There are other principles, there are other categories involved that your students actually might be really interested in, but maybe we aren't aware of what's out there. And so Doug Jacobson, he's going to share some of the work that he's done at Iowa State and the K-12 curriculum that he's created on cybersecurity.
All right. So, good morning. As was said, I'm going to talk about different aspects of cybersecurity curriculum. We've developed a couple different pathways at Iowa State, and then put together some different curricular modules for those pathways. And this is the team that's been working with me to help put all this together. Talk a little bit about kind of where we are with cybersecurity education. It's a relatively newer field, especially in the K through 12 arena. Talk a little bit about where we should be, what we're doing, and sort of again focusing on pretty much grades 3 through 12. We're kind of struggling a little bit with much younger than that. And so currently in cybersecurity education, it is very top-end focused. Iowa State has been teaching cybersecurity since the early 90s. At the graduate level, we produce dozens of students a year, go out and get very good jobs. We do a lot of things with online learning and a lot of activities again at the collegiate level. And so we've really, over the last 20 years or so, kind of neglected the K through 12 arena. And we've also neglected the entire public. We don't really do much as far as educating the public either. And so, as I said, we have a lot of courses at Iowa State. I think we have over a dozen graduate courses in cybersecurity. We do a lot of things with ad hoc learning at the collegiate level. Lots of competitions, lots of informal activities. So again, very rich set of materials at the collegiate level. But what's missing in this are the red's a little harder to see here. But as I said, not a lot in the K through 12 arena. Now, there are a few things out there. The government Air Force has something called Cyber Patriot. I'll talk a little bit about that. So there are some little pockets of things that focus. Cyber Patriot is sort of middle school, mostly high school. And I'm going to talk a lot about literacy in cybersecurity, and this is the material we're trying to push down even lower and push upward. So we're actually talking about security literacy, sort of from cradle to grave. And so those are the two pieces I'm going to focus on today. And please ask questions anytime as we start to get into this. So if we look at kind of laying out some pathways of where we want our students to go, what we want our students to get out of cybersecurity, we're sort of looking at two different sort of outputs. We're looking at the possibility of jobs. So students entering a cyber workforce, whether they enter that workforce eventually being cyber security savvy, or whether they actually go in and actually get employment in cybersecurity. But just as big a picture, we're looking at educating all students, all citizens, so that they can better protect themselves online. And I want to make a distinction early on. We're not focused at all on the sort of things that NetSmart and other organizations do as far as bullying and those types of activities. We're really focused on trying to teach kids cybersecurity and how to deal with cyber events, cyber attacks, etc. And so if we look at the more formal side, leading to employment, leading to advanced degrees, our biggest partner in the cybersecurity side is the Hyperstream program. And cybersecurity is one of the venues in the Hyperstream program, which is one of the governor's scale-up programs. And the goal of that, of course, is to get more students interested in entering some type of security advanced education. We have the community colleges, many of which also teach some of these courses in the high schools or in partnerships with the high schools. And then, of course, we can lead into an advanced degree. We have a minor at Iowa State, leading into a master's degree, et cetera. But again, the pieces I want to focus on today are the literacy pieces and the more formal security education that we have for K through 12. So, as I said, at the high school level, or grades 9 to 12, we have a pathway for students to become actively involved in cybersecurity. And the students in this pathway, they have as a goal to participate in what we call a cyber defense competition, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. But it's all inquiry-based learning. Typically, it's focused around a club, after-school type of club. And the students work, basically all year long. We provide access to a playground that I'll talk about in a second for them to do cybersecurity. And so these are students that actually set up firewalls and configure operating systems and set up intrusion detection and email systems, and then they get prepared to defend these, and that's this cyber defense competition. They're blue are the defenders, and so they actually build a network. They actually configure and set up a system, and then they come up to Hilton Coliseum in April, and they defend it against the bad red team. Red team are a set of our students and actually some professionals. They're pretty good. Actually, they're really good. And what I tell all the blue teams, tell all the students and so on, the game's rigged and you're going to lose. And that's the way security works. Because if blue won all the time, we wouldn't have jobs. And so this competition is I almost hate to use the word competition. It's sort of a celebration of their year-long accomplishments. And we have white and green, so those are the users and the administrators. So that's kind of the pictures of some of those. So associated with this, again, the students put themselves, teams of 3 to 5 is sort of an optimal team size. You get below 3 and there's too much for them to do, and you get above 5 and then there's kids that are bored, and that's never a good thing. As I said, they're defenders. They set up lots of different environments. They have sort of free will to set up the type of environments. Everything's public domain. And so they learn a lot during that year, building their defensive environments, learning how firewalls work, how email works, how all of these systems can be put together, and then they defend it during the competition. Now, the next slide is going to hopefully answer some of the questions. What I've just laid out is probably scary to 99% of you in the room, because you may not know anything about cybersecurity. And so what we've provided, and working with HyperStream, is again, remember, this is inquiry-based learning. And what I tell, this program is now, we've been running high school cyber defense competitions we're going on 13 years now. And what I've been telling all the teachers, all the mentors, is all you have to do is facilitate the kids and turn them loose. They're going to figure things out. This is really an arena where the best way to figure things out is to experiment and try. And if it doesn't work, then you blow away the computer and you try again. They can't hurt anything. We provide this environment called Rink, which is a remotely accessible environment. There's nothing they can do in there that will hurt anything. So they can misconfigure a computer. They can set up a server wrong. It won't hurt anything. So this type of environment also lets you as teachers facilitate something like this without your IT staff going, what do you mean you're going to have students set up firewalls and do cybersecurity? Not on my network. All they need is a web interface to access the Rink. And so that eliminates the whole concern of kids learning and doing things that may hurt your network. And so this Rink is the exact same environment that they'll play on in the competition. The one we have set up now is a statewide resource available to any school that wants to use it. The teachers are given, every school is given a login, and you just share that login among the kids. The way the environment works is everybody who logs into that login has access to a little playground area that they can stand up computer systems in that little playground area, and they can scan the systems and test the systems, again, without hurting anybody. And that exact same Rink environment is what happens at the competitions. There's no learning a new environment when they move to the competition. So again, it sounds scary, because all I've now just described is, we're going to give you a bunch of computers in the cloud. So we do have a cyber curriculum that goes along with this. There's a whole set of PowerPoint slides. There's activities. There are some videos that walk you through the initial, how do I build my first few computers? Once the kids understand how to build their first computer or two in the environment, then it really is just turning them loose. And they have a blast, because again, they're building things, they're playing with things, and they can't hurt anything. Through HyperStream, they do provide local mentors. So they try to couple the schools up with a mentor. And we also run an online support mechanism. So the students and the teachers and the mentors can ask questions of my staff about the environment. So again, the whole goal of this is the sort of advanced side of cybersecurity. And kids that come out of this, some number of them who go through this program, and again, we've been doing this for 13 years, come come to various four-year schools to study cybersecurity. It's a lot of fun up at Iowa State to have these students come to my office and say, yeah, I played in the high school cyber defense competition for 2, 3, 4 years. And now they come up to Iowa State and they're in cybersecurity and they're playing in cyber defense competitions at Iowa State. Kind of a side note with these competitions at Iowa State. First of all, they're pretty much the same ones we do at the high school. They're a little more complex, but the whole same concept. We have a fair number of employers who look at this as one of the basic criteria to hire a student is to participate in one of these. So this is really a great way for students who are very who are interested and want to head down that path. We're trying to figure out what we can do at the middle school level. A middle school, an actual full-blown competition is probably a little more complicated to run at a middle school, but we're trying to figure out some things that we can do to give students a little more hands-on activities who again want to follow this path towards computing and possibly cybersecurity. I mentioned in a little bit ago, I mentioned that there is a program out there called Cyber Patriot, and some of you may have heard of it or may have teams participate in it. Cyber Patriot is, as I said, it's government sponsored. Air Force is the big sponsor behind it. Its goal is to select a small number of teams across the country to participate in a cyber defense competition. So literally they will start with 20,000 plus participants and whittle it down to maybe 30. Now, this is being recorded, but anyway, I have a real problem with a program like that whose sole goal is to eliminate 99.99% of its participants. My analogy that we use for this program and everything we're doing is we gear this as an intramural sport. This is not a varsity sport, right? The goal of varsity sports, that does not increase participation. Intramurals increases participation, and so we really did try to design these things so that it's fun. The kids are learning. They're having a good time, and they may or may not be interested in cyber. We have our high school cyber defense competition at Hilton. Usually about 150 kids that participate in that ballpark. So that's 30 to 40 teams. So it's a big group of kids, and they have a blast. And red team beats every one of them. And that's the way, like I said, that's the way it is. And once they get over that fact that red's going to do something bad, they really then focus on how they fix it, how they report it, and that's where it's fun. Because you're defending against somebody who's successful, you got to beat them back, you got to get things running again, and they just have a blast. Even though, as I said, they kind of get beat. So now I'm going to shift gears. Is there any questions on that piece before I? Yeah.
You said you had about 100 and some teams participate.
About 150 kids, which
Oh,
would be
kids, okay.
divided by 5, roughly, yeah.
Oh, okay. What schools do you know? Like, what are some of the schools that participate in that or have hyperstream programs going on that we could? I know there sounds like some interest in the room from our back channel, so I'm just wondering if you know of some schools that that some of our folks can contact.
Well, I know Johnston. I mean, I'm trying to think of schools in the. You're all from Heartland, right? Area. Yeah.
Des Moines Christian has it. Des Moines Christian is the.
Yep.
your
Yes, Des Moines.
defense.
Yep. Des Moines Christian, Waukee, Central Academy, Johnston, Carlisle, I think. It's, let's see. Des Moines has in the past. Ankeny has. Southeast Polk has. There's a fair number of schools in the, and if you're interested, and I'll have my contact information at the end, you can send me a note and I can try to link you up with some of those schools that have, I don't know the geographic layout of Heartland by memory, but to know which are in it, which aren't. But if I look at the, the long, HyperStream statewide, but of course it tends to be focused on the Des Moines area, Cedar Rapids area, and so on. But there are a lot of Des Moines schools that come and participate. I think Johnston has, because I just talked to their mentor, they have 22 kids or something like that who are going to want to participate in the cyber defense. So that's four teams or so. Okay. So now I want to broaden the discussion. So what I just got done talking about was really those things that lead students towards that pathway of interest in computing and cybersecurity. I'm going to argue that everybody who uses a computer ought to be security literate, that they ought to be given the tool set, the knowledge in order to protect themselves. And what we have been doing in the past, and we've been doing this for, 30 years. I can't remember how long I've been in security, but it's been a long time. And it doesn't work. I don't know if you guys have any posters hanging up around here that talk about security? Ooh, see, you don't even know if you do or you don't. They work real well. The federal government they've spent tens of millions of dollars on a cybersecurity awareness program. Anybody know their slogan? Oh boy. I have yet to have an audience that does. So obviously this is money well spent. Stop, think, connect. Yeah, that rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? I don't know. So we're arguing that we need to do something different. Awareness is a pointless concept right now in cybersecurity because we're all aware that something's going on. And being aware doesn't typically enable us to take actions because the actions are dynamic and too complex. The stop, think, connect is sort of obviously patterned after the stop, drop, and roll. Well, that works only because you're pretty aware you're on fire, and this is the three things you have to do because these are the three things that work. In cybersecurity, you're under attack. Well, I can't name three things that need to happen because I don't know what's happening to you. And so, I'm not going to go through all this, but we're under attack. We're all under attack. And your kids are just as much under attack as your grown-ups, as your grandparents, as pretty much everybody. The attackers do not discriminate based on age. Actually, they may focus on things based on age, based on knowledge. And the attacks are changing, constantly changing. So again, I can't give you a checklist of things to do. I can, but that checklist is quickly going to be out of date, and you're not going to be able to adapt to new things that are going on. Plus, if I just give you a checklist, you may not even know why I'm doing, why am I doing that? The great campaign of passwords that was out a long time ago. Passwords are like underwear. That was a campaign that somebody came out with. Passwords like underwear, which is cute. Change them often. Don't show them to anybody. So it was really a cute set of slogans, but it's kind of like, everybody chuckles, and it's like, but what does that really make? It doesn't really give me truly actionable items. So literacy, and you're all familiar with the concept of literacy because everybody talks about, there's financial literacy, there's of course reading literacy, and there's now, literacy about pretty much everything. And computer security literacy is no different than that. It's taking the security concepts, what most of what us security people, we have we don't have the corner on acronyms, but we're pretty good at acronyms. And we're pretty good at all sorts of deep technical jargon. Turning around and relating this to everyday life, analogies, metaphors, etc., and allowing users to understand what does a password even do for you? What does it mean to have a good password versus sharing a password versus keeping the password safe? Giving them those concepts will then let them extrapolate and figure out what's going on and apply some reasoning to whatever threat that may be in front of them. So a little bit of history, and then we'll move forward where we are at K through 12. This all started at Iowa State. Oh boy. 7, 8 years ago, with a security literacy course offered to non-computer people at Iowa State. And the course has morphed itself over time. It now operates in a flipped environment. There are 30 video modules, in-class activities, discussions, quizzes, writing assignments, etc. Classic flip environment. The class period itself is nothing more than walking through these in-class activities and discussions. And again, we teach the concept. This by far is probably the most fun I have teaching. This course is a blast to teach. Because we spend our whole time doing activities and discussions, because they've listened to the boring head talk in their jammies, and they don't need to listen to me lecture. And so we developed all this. There was a textbook that goes along with it, developed these video modules, and we got to thinking, we could take this same concept and we could push it downward and we could push it upward. This does not have to live at the collegiate level only. So in order to support that, I'm not going to go through the outcomes. These are the outcomes for what we had at the collegiate level. So what we decided is, okay, we're going to first tackle grades 3 through 12. We just, I'll be the first to admit that I'm not a K through 12 educator. I've never had any formal training in that, but I've been in Iowa long enough to know that everything's heavily controlled, and we need multiple ways to do things. And so multiple integration methods. We have the ability to stand this, we have the materials to allow you to stand this up as a semester-long course. The same materials could be spread across the curriculum. Math classes, other classes could take certain modules, integrate them into those modules, into the class, and have discussion. Passwords is a great one in math class. Talk about passwords, talk about the modules on passwords, and then you can lead into the math class a discussion on how you crack passwords, how crypto, what time it takes for crypto analysis, what is cryptography. All very cool mathematical concepts, and yet it's in context of your passwords. Multiple deliver methods, traditional lecture, which we kind of downplay, in-class videos, flipped course. We're actually, and I'll talk in a minute, board games, and then various assessment methods. So we knew we had to come up with these types of materials. And so again, a little more detail on the integration. we came up with a set of materials that I'll talk about in more detail in a few minutes. But first and foremost, what we've come up with, because again, people are probably sitting there going, yeah, but I don't have an advanced degree in cybersecurity. How can I possibly teach this material? It has been designed to be taught with people without a security background. Kind of one of the decisions we made when we developed this material, if I go back to the first slide, right, a list of all the collaborators on this project, 2 of those collaborators were PhD students in English. The one who produced the videos, refined the videos and produced the next set of videos, didn't even know how to spell cybersecurity before I hired him. And that's why I hired him. So he has taken this material and produced it in a way that can be used and understood without deep background in cybersecurity. In the stand-up course, again, very fortunate. Tracy is another one of our collaborators. She's an undergrad student at Iowa State University studying computer engineering. But she's a non-traditional student. In her former life, she was a high school math teacher from Missouri. So she spent, I think it was like 4 or 5 years teaching math. So she can speak the whole lesson plans and all of that, assessment materials, et cetera. So she's actually developed a set of lesson plans to go along with the videos that you can use, complete with assessments, objectives, all of the things you need to go in and teach a semester-long course. Those same things, since they're tied to the videos, can be pulled out, and you're doing the password module, you can take those pieces out of those lesson plans, have the in-class activities, have the questions to ask the kids, and to help facilitate. And so that's this threading piece. And so being able to take those modules and plug them into an existing course, again, with in-class activities. I keep mentioning, you see the literacy lab, and I haven't said that yet. I'm going to talk about that. That we believe that we need a lab environment for you to play in, because it's not, again, just enough to stand up here and talk about passwords or talk about wireless or talk about whatever threats we want to talk about, phishing emails, etc., without letting the kids play with them. So we'll talk about that in a second. So what do we have for support materials? There's a textbook. Again, there's the lesson plans. And if I were to do a page count, I think the lesson plans actually have more pages than the textbook. We have the content, the primary content are the video lectures. And lectures is the video modules. Lectures is probably too strong of a word. We have PowerPoint slides. Nobody's ever used them because they like the videos. We have cartoons that we've sort of targeted to the middle school environment. And then, as I said, I'll talk in a second a little bit more about the literacy lab and the board games that we're developing. So again, more details about the videos. They're in-depth, standalone videos. So these are the 30 modules. They're hosted on YouTube and Vimeo. And I guess I should and I'll make this comment several times as we're going down this. Everything, the textbook, of course, is copyrighted by the publisher, so that. But everything else is made available under the Creative Commons license, Creative Commons with attribution. So it is free to take, to use, to modify, to change, as long as you still blame us for some part of it. Videos are 10 to 20 minutes long. And again, They can be plugged into courses. They could be used to support the entire semester-long course. Again, we have the comprehensive teacher's guide that goes along with it. That is under a, when you go, I'll show you what the website is. When you go to the website, that will ask you for a username and a password, so you just, click on the I want one of those and we'll give it to you. The only reason to do that is because it does have, quizzes and things like that with answers. And since this is cybersecurity, kids will probably find it anyway. But so again, in-class activities, simple assessments. We will be offering PD again this summer. We offered PD last summer here at Heartland. So it was worth one whatever. It was whatever you call it, not really credit, but whatever it is. Yeah, credit, okay. So we met twice, and then there was work you had to do afterwards that added up to whatever it needs to be PD. There was some discussion and some interest in trying to create an actual graduate level course. We haven't gotten that far yet, but if there's enough interest, we can look at doing that. But some of the teachers said they would like to have had something like that so they could have gotten some graduate credit for it. But that gets to be out of my, we work closely with Heartland to facilitate those things. So that's the video pieces. And the video pieces, by the way, can be pushed down probably into lower grades than the 9th grade, depending on the video piece. One of the other interesting things, before I move on to the Cybertunes, that during the PD, a few of the people in the room for PD were the tech directors, and they wanted to use the videos not for the kids. They wanted to use the videos for all the teachers to run the teachers through the literacy work. So the Cybertunes, they're real short. There's about a dozen of them, all based around this cyber family. So there's the good actors and the bad actors in the cyber family. That's Malicious Mallory up there in the corner. The goal there is to facilitate a discussion. So it goes through a real short vignette, and then you can go into some type of a discussion based off of that with simple activities. So this is meant to be something that could take 10, 15 minutes. And some of the teachers have talked about, well, these tunes might be a really great introduction or a way to get talking even in the upper grades, followed by the modules. So because the tunes really talk about more of a story, then the modules really going in and saying this is what passwords are, et cetera, versus the Cybertunes talking about a story where somebody gave up their password. So you could actually use that as a way to maybe facilitate in-class discussion. So the other piece that's under development, this one's truly under development. And I'll talk in a minute what's here and what's under development and what's down the road. We decided that it would be fun to have a board game, a physical board game with moving pieces and cards. So we are starting, because we don't have anything really for grades 3 through 6, that's where we're starting. And the idea here is not just security literacy. We're talking about digital and security literacy for this grade. So the prototype board game, which we're still developing the little cards, but we have a prototype we're working on, has the kids moving through various home, school, vacation, travel, etc. Moving through various areas, and they draw cards that talk about things, little scenarios. So for example, at home, one of the cards they would draw says you have your one-to-one or your tablet, and you left it on the floor in the hallway. And then there are 6 choices because you have a dice you roll. Choice number 1, for example, is you got lucky, nothing bad happened. Choice 2 is somebody got up in the middle of the night and stepped on it. The dog ate it. Another choice, the cat. And so in this 3 through 6, it really then lets the teacher facilitate a discussion or lets the kids potentially play. And it's all random. It's all pure chance, roll of the dice. As we envision it moving forward to the upper grades, it becomes much more of a game where students make decisions and make choices. That's a little more complicated rule set, and we're not there yet to get those developed. But that is in prototype right now. And then the lab, hackerville.org, and yes, that is the domain name. Yes, we own that domain name. That's cool. And Iowa State let me buy that domain name. That's even cooler. Or maybe they just didn't know and I did it anyway. I don't know. So it's currently under development. So if you go there right now, there's just a landing page that talks about it in general terms. But we envision this as having sort of two sets or 2 pathways. One is the general things that you just go to Hackerville and experiment with. Discussions on how the internet works. Maybe it brings up a program that calculates, paths from Hackerville to Google, and using things like traceroute and other sorts of tools. Maybe there's some simple cryptography and animation showing how ciphers work, and some of those pieces that I don't care who uses it, because there's really nothing they can do bad. No, I hate to use the word bad. Nothing they can do that may question what they're trying to do. Then there will be the set or the area in which a teacher will ask for a set of logins. So you want to play with this. You'll say, I have 30 students, and it'll come back and say, here's your list of 30 students, and here's their passwords. And you can hand those out to the students. In that little world, once they log into that little world, then they have access to email servers, fake banks, a fake social media site, fake email sites. So now we're going to be able to let them, for example, within the confines of your class, generate a spam email message and send it to their classmates to see who, and they can talk about how good it was, how bad it was. The fake bank site or fake sites that ask for logins. So you can drive phishing email to go to that. You can talk about downloading viruses or malware that come from websites. The social media, tmi.hackerville.org will let them do some small amount of social media. We're going to, not allow, for example, images to be uploaded, and so on, because I don't want, but they'll be able to send things to each other, quote, post things, and the teacher will have full encompassing view of their entire class to see everything that's going on, and have discussions about that. So we'll have I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I think you're probably going to get to this, probably. But we have a question on the back channel. When will it be fully functional or operational?
Hackerville?
Yeah.
I am hoping that Hackerville will be, nothing's ever completely done because we always add to it. But we're hoping to beta access to Hackerville about mid-spring time frame.
Okay.
our intent.
Okay.
And with Hackerville, we will have a set of lab experiments, assessments, et cetera, that teachers can use. So you can facilitate the use of something like Hackerville, which will then tie back to some of the videos. And then, okay, rollout plan. So the video modules, as I said, they're on YouTube and Vimeo. They're on the channel on each of those. I'll show you the URL of the websites on the last slide. All of the lesson plans, et cetera, are available right now. We have some schools that are trying the, pilot's probably too strong of a word, but we have schools that are trying the high school curriculum, and anybody who wants to try it, give them a login and they can try it. We hope to test the board game yet this spring. So we'll be looking for a few schools that are willing to pilot the board game. So, have some time for questions. That is the www.security-literacy.org. That is the primary website for the literacy material. As I said, you go over to the side where it talks about instructor materials. At some point, it'll come up and say you need to log in, and there'll be a button to click that says I want to log in. And depending on where I'm at, how near I am to my computer, that may happen. You may get something back in minutes, or it may take hours, but you will get something back.
Any questions for Doug? Are there any on Zoom, Marissa? Oh, yeah.
Will Hackerville be available to anybody who wants to use it, or will it be by subscription, or how are you going to handle that, or have you decided yet?
I haven't completely decided. There'll be the public facing, so as I said, there's the two pieces of Hackerville. The part where you can go in, for example, and test the strength of a password or something like that will be open to anybody. The piece where you're going to get an email account and an account on the fake bank and an account here, there, and everywhere, that will need to have somebody setting up, saying, I'm going to run a class, I'm going to run something, and I need 30 logins, or I need however many logins. And part of why we're doing that is so that we can sort of put a fence around each set of kids, so that we don't have Southeast Polk trashing, Sadell or whatever.
We are kind of like that.
You are that? Okay. I was trying to pick on you. Yeah. Anybody from Sadell here? No? Okay. So yeah, there'll be, but we don't really do anybody who asks, we've so far given them access, so we don't do a strong vetting process. We just,